Hey guys, Angus here. Today we've got the video review of the CyberGun licensed Sig Sauer SP2022 CO2 Airsoft pistol. Let's start off this review by going over your gun's packaging. This is the box your gun will come in. As you can see, typical of a CyberGun licensed product, it's very flashy, large picture of the gun, bright colors, but in the end, it's just a cardboard box. When you open up the box, this is what you should see. Inside the box, there is a warranty registration card for Palco Sport, your SP2022 user's manual. This is a very simplistic manual. All it really tells you how to do is how to put the BBs in your mag and how to load up your CO2. Then you'll have a small box of maybe 100 0.2 gram BBs, a large Allen key for inserting your CO2, and of course your CyberGun licensed Sig Sauer SP2022 pistol itself. Now first things first, you guys are probably wondering, where can I purchase this gun? Well, there's a link down below in the description to AirsoftStation.com where you can buy this product for about $60. They also stock a similar version with a plastic slide for about $40. Now getting into some of the details of the gun, first things first, it's actually made by KWC. CyberGun simply licensed the gun so they can go ahead and put those Sig Sauer trademarks on it. So KWC actually makes the gun. I've had experience with their non-blowback pistols before, and I've always found them to be actually pretty good. I actually owned one myself a while back. This pistol certainly didn't change my mind about them. I found it exactly like I found of the others. Pretty darn good quality and a nice bang for your buck pistol. Now external quality, as I mentioned, this is the more expensive version. The reason for that is it does have a metal slide. Your whole upper slide is composed of metal as opposed to being made of plastic. I really like that because A, it's a little bit more realistic, and B, it's more durable. If I were to drop this with a metal slide, probably not going to crack. If I had a plastic slide, there's a chance it might crack on me, but this, maybe a couple scratches, but it's still going to be in one piece. So I really like the metal slide. Besides the slide, other metal pieces include your trigger and basically all of your magazine. The only portion of your magazine that is plastic is this lower grip part here. The lower frame of the SP2022 is composed of ABS plastic. So the majority of the gun, it's made of plastic unfortunately, but it isn't a bad quality plastic and it certainly does make the gun rather light. The lower frame is plastic, meaning your rail is plastic, your trigger guard's plastic, your grip's plastic. However, the grip's rather nice. It is textured, so it's a rather comfortable pistol to hold in your hand. Gives you a little bit nicer grip on the gun. Overall, external quality is pretty nice, and it's made even nicer by the addition of those trademarks on the slide. You have written in bright white on the left side of the slide, Sig Sauer SP2022. That trade looks rather nice right now, but what I've noticed with CyberGun pistols in the past is this tends to fade off after a while. So although it's bright and shiny right now, it might not be like that for a long time. Other engraved trades on the gun include Sig Pro, written on both sides of the pistol grip, and then there are some uglier ones as well. You have Made in Taiwan, Read Manual Before Use, so a mix of nice trademarks. You get the nice Sig Sauer ones, but then you also get the annoying ones made in Taiwan. Nobody wants to see that on their gun. Internally, you get all metal pieces that need to be metal, so you can go ahead and run the CO2 through the weapon. So overall, the external quality on this pistol is actually rather nice for a $60 gun. Now, although it seems redundant for most of us, I just want to quickly explain what non-blowback means for the beginner airsofters out there. What it basically means is when I pull the trigger, the slide doesn't come back as it would in a gas blowback or GBB pistol. There are no moving parts on this gun. The hammer does come back. You can go ahead and move it yourself. However, when you actually pull the trigger, the hammer does nothing. So really no moving parts externally on the SP2022 as it is a non-blowback CO2 pistol. Alright, now being that the SP2022 is a pistol, a major feature of this gun is going to be its magazine, which is not only where your BBs are housed, it's also what stores the CO2 to power the pistol. Now in order to eject the mag, you want to push in the gun's mag release, which is located on the left side of the weapon, just behind the trigger guard. It's actually a large triangle-shaped button with a little bit of texture on it. When you push in the mag release, the mag will simply drop out like so, so be prepared to catch it. The mag holds 15 rounds, kind of the standard for these non-blowback pistols in this price range, and in order to load up the mag, you want to pull down the spring like so, and at that point drop your BBs in either by hand or with a speed loader. Takes 15 rounds. When you fill it up, I'd recommend .28s for the best accuracy. You want to release the spring carefully so that it doesn't sling to the top and take a couple of BBs flying out of the mag with it. Now, that's how you store the BBs, pretty common sense. However, CO2 is also housed in this mag. Now, this is explained in the manual, so I'm not going to go into an amazing amount of depth, but it uses the seal type in order to store the CO2. I don't really care for that too much because the seals eventually strip out, and then you got to go on a wild hunt to find those seals so you can go ahead and actually use the magazine again. So just be careful, don't be too rough with this so you don't strip it right away. How it works is you take the included Allen key, unscrew the seal, drop a CO2 cartridge in, make sure it's a fresh one, and then replace the seal by using the Allen key to tighten it back in place. When the CO2 hisses, it's released, and the mag is capable of pushing the BBs into the gun to be fired. So overall, the mag does a good job holding your BBs in your CO2. I just hate those seal type mags. Another thing to point out is the mag does have a couple of trademarks engraved into it, such as caliber 6mm located on its left side. To push the magazine in, simply place it in, like so, gives you a nice loud clack, and you're ready to go. Now, another pretty cool feature of the SP2022 is this nice little tactical rail they give you located on the lower frame of the gun. Now, the tactical rail is pretty short. It's just there, 20mm, to mount any type of accessory you want to put on this gun. Being that it's only $60, you might have some money left over to buy an accessory from Airsoft Station. Practical items to put on this would be a flashlight or a laser, depending on what you're going to use this for. Or otherwise, you can just leave the rail empty. Frankly, keeps the weight of the gun down and also saves you some money from buying an unnecessary accessory. But overall, pretty nice because you have the option to go ahead and put something on this gun. Now naturally, the SP2022 does feature some iron sights. They're just your typical pistol iron sights, nothing too fancy. They are not adjustable, but they are iron sights nonetheless. These are great, of course, for aiming at your target when you're going to go ahead and fire at it. Now the iron sights are pretty simple. Your rear sight, I call it the pyramid sight. What it basically is two squares with a groove in the middle so you can go ahead and line up with your front sight. Front sight, really nothing special either. All it is a front sight post marked very nicely with some bright white paint so that it really stands out. And I like that CyberGun did that. However, again, same issue as with the trades on the slide. It'll probably fade away after some extended periods of use. But overall, the iron sights are pretty darn accurate to the gun. When I was taking shots at a target, aiming down my sights, I hit it basically every single time except for one miss. Overall, these iron sights, they're pretty darn nice. Now when it comes to really any gun, whether real steel or airsoft, a pretty important feature would be a safety. And luckily for us, the SP22 does feature safety. It's located on the left side of the gun, same place as basically all the other features of this weapon, and it's kind of that large switch right there. Now as you can see, when the red dot is exposed, that means the gun is capable of firing. If you were to flip the switch downward, like so, to cover up that red dot and reveal an engraved letter S, the gun is unsafe. The trigger can still be pulled, however, the gun will not fire. The exact opposite, if the gun were on fire, trigger can be pulled and the gun will still fire. Safety is pretty nice, it's easily accessible, and it's great that it actually features a safety. Alright, now being that the SP2022 is a pistol, not many features on it, we've already covered them all, so let's go ahead and get into the final conclusion of this review. Now this is a $60 non-blowback CO2 airsoft pistol. Don't sell it short. I'm actually very impressed with this gun and I like it so much, I actually might ask to keep this thing. Now, what I really like about the gun is its metal slide. If you're going to buy this gun, spend the extra $20, go ahead and purchase the metal slided version. You won't be disappointed. Gives you a little bit nicer external quality and a little bit more durability when it comes to if you accidentally drop the pistol. The trademarks on the gun are a very nice touch. Despite the fact they may fade away, they look rather nice. I just hate those ugly Made in Taiwan engravings on the gun. And that's really only one of two things that I don't like about the pistol. The other only thing I don't like would be the style of CO2 housing this gun uses. I hate those guns where the CO2 is sealed in with those plastic seals, because like I said, they always strip out, and then you gotta go ahead and try and look around for a new one. That's the only reason I don't exactly care for the gun too much, is just I hate that type of CO2 seal. But otherwise, the gun, as I stated, is made very, very well. I've never had a problem with KWC non-blowbacks. The trigger pull is actually fairly easy. It's a little bit harder than a gas blowback, but it is fairly easy to pull back. You get a 15-round metal magazine. That's a nice enough capacity. And you also get some nice iron sights that I found to be very accurate to the gun. What would I recommend this thing for? Well, a $60 pistol, this would be good if you're, say, on a budget, looking for a nice budget gun, Or if you're just a beginner looking for your first gas pistol, you don't want to spend the $100 or so on a GBB, you just want something to experiment with the semi-automatic function. Another thing I'd really recommend this for is if you're running a sniper style kit, as you saw I was at the beginning. These non-blowbacks are pretty practical because they don't have the recoil that messes up your aim. You can simply aim and keep pulling the trigger, as there's not a huge amount of kick that'll mess up your aim. Plus they're rather lightweight and fairly inexpensive, so being a sniper, not really going to use this too much, so why spend the big bucks? Get a nice pistol that has a big bang for your buck, frankly. Overall, it's a nice little pistol. I'd really recommend it to anybody looking for a sidearm that's on a budget, or hey, even a more experienced player like myself. This is a pretty darn nice gun. So this has been Deathcore Airsoft's review of the CyberGun licensed KWC Sig Sauer SP2022 CO2 Airsoft pistol. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe.